A big Whopper is coming to the food industry in California. And Newsom with his $22 minimum wage, I don't know how any small business can afford that. If you have a small mom and pop's restaurant, or if you have a small fast food restaurant, your restaurant, what do they call it, restaurateur or restaurantee or whatever, how can you afford $22 an hour minimum wage? Like if you have a small lemonade stand, how can you afford $22 an hour minimum wage? He's going to crash the economy in California. This is not going to end well for Californians. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button. Share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon where I talk about things I can't talk about here. And there's also a link to my Twitter where I'm very active on Twitter. So follow me over there. And follow me on Instagram, JJ the Psychotherapist. Follow me there where I set up my Instagram now. I'm gonna be having tons of news there. Where if you like the information, you like the news, but you don't want to spend hours a day reading about what's going on, I put the latest news up there, and it has a little synopsis that takes about 30 seconds to a minute to read. So check me out there. All right, let's talk about this news. Californians might soon run out of ways to drive people from their state. Their latest ploy will strike a blow to the Golden State's vibrant restaurant industry and could pave the way for a statewide 22-hour minimum wage that would harm poor and minority workers, those most likely to see their jobs cut after such a hike. Because think about it. If you have to pay $22 an hour as opposed to, let's say, $12 an hour, what are you going to do? You're going to instead of having two people working, you're going to have one person work. So you're going to cut people hours. That's the only way they're going to be able to afford it. So a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. Their hours going to get cut in half. Like, this is a terrible, terrible idea. The California's new law, AB 257, or Fast Recovery Act, will create a nightmare of bureaucracy, putting George Orwell's 1984 to shame. It singles out fast food restaurants by creating an unelected board to govern labor laws, like wages, working conditions, etc., at firms with more than 100 locations nationwide, even if there is only one in California. The new bureaucracy will be called the Fast Food Sector Council within the Department of Industrial Relations. Think of it as a death panel, but instead of rationing healthcare, it's rationing fast food products and jobs. It was signed into law Monday by Governor Gavin Newsom, despite his own Department of Finance opposing the bill due to, quote, significant ongoing costs, and less than 1/3 of Californians supporting the price increase that the bill will cause. The International Franchise Association, IFA, rightly denounced this boneheaded move. So think about how much it's going to cost for the McDonald's burger now in California. I don't know how much it is now. I know it's already a lot more expensive than anywhere else in the country. But imagine a McDonald's worker having to be paid, each one having to be paid $22 an hour. What do you think is going to cost for you to get a double cheeseburger now? And even his own department is telling him not to do it, but he's doing it anyway. He's not even listening to his advisors. IFA estimates via a study by UC Riverside that costs will increase 20% for California consumers with this legislation. Wow. So 20%, your burger is going to cost 20% more. Franchise locations are small businesses with independent owner operators, including many mom and pop operators who will be forced to pay the price for this bill, ultimately having no choice but to pass along the cost to consumers. This comes after nearly 300 corporations have moved their headquarters out of California in the past few years due to increasingly cumbersome and inefficient hurdles created by the state. This legislation would be a catalyst for another wave. Like it makes no sense. It's like everything he's making, he's totally anti-business. If you have a business in California, know that your governor is anti-business. So that's why a lot of these corporations are moving. IFA CEO Matt Haller rightly asked in an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal on August 22nd, quote, while Why single out the quick service restaurant industry? The bill's union backers, chiefly the Service Employees International Union, accuse quick service franchises without evidence of being particularly prone to labor law violations. In reality, data from California's Department of Industrial Relations show that the industry commits far fewer labor wage and hour violations than any other industries. And as someone who worked, in the restaurant industry, as a kid growing up, those were some of my first jobs was working in the restaurant industry. Um, I can tell you that I've never had any labor issues there. You clock in and you get the amount of hours you work. So I don't know how they think that the restaurant industry has a bunch of labor violations like that. I've never come across it. Just speaking anecdotally. The bill was amended on Friday, August 25th, from its original version, but the concerns were no less. Were no less. The most significant change was the removal of the joint employer provision, but even the amendment version left the door open to allowing enforcement against franchisors. As Haller said, quote, the changes proposed today are an attempt to put lipstick on a pig and give the unelected council even more authority than it had in previous versions. So this is bait and switch. A survey of economists from the Employment Policies Institute found a whopping 83% of economists opposed the Fast Recovery Act, with 71% strongly opposing, and the majority believe the legislation will have negative consequences for fast food restaurants, including spiking operation costs 93%, causing restaurants to increase prices for consumers 84%, and closing franchise restaurants 73%. So this is crazy. This is crazy that this is happening. When you have 83% of economists telling you that this is a no-go and you still do it, this further shows to me that Gavin Newsom does not care about California. He does not care about his state. I think he has aspirations for president, and he thinks this for some way will help him look good. But when you got 83% of economists telling you you're doing something wrong, then more than likely you're doing something wrong. But this is blatant political posturing from Newsom, trying to burnish his union credentials in hopes of a White House bid, as I alluded to just a minute ago. But too bad he's going to crush California's food industry under his foot along the campaign trail. And I think as this stuff passes and more people see how terrible this bill actually is, it's going to look bad on him if he decides to run in 2024. But let me know what you think about all this. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe. And check out democrepublics.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.